Ladies and gentlemen, have you ever paused for just 1 minute and dared to believe that in that single minute, your entire world could shift, not by effort, not by force, but by a simple act, the assumption of a truth already fulfilled? This is not mere repetition. This is not a game of words. This is creation in its purest form. The spoken word, when clothed in feeling, becomes flesh. So I invite you now, not merely to speak, but to feel the life within the words. I am already what I desire to be. Say it softly, say it boldly, whisper it to the silence within you, but say it with the conviction that it is so. Now, for consciousness is the only reality, and what you are conscious of being, you become. Every condition of life is born, not of outer circumstance, but of inner speech. We are always talking within ourselves. The tragedy is not that we speak. The tragedy is that we speak without awareness. The inner conversation must match the life you wish to live. Not tomorrow, now. The secret is not to fight against what you see, but to turn away from it and persist in the vision of what you wish to see. The world will conform, for it has no choice but to mirror your sustained assumption. Do not be deceived by appearances. They are shadows cast by former beliefs. Let the affirmation be your new light. Let it illumine the unseen and give shape to the formless. 1 minute of truth, deeply felt, outweighs a lifetime of empty effort. Dwell not on the how. The bridge of incidents will unfold. Your only task is to inhabit the end. To feel it, to rest in it, to claim it as your only reality. Say it again. I am already what I desire to be. And as you say it, become it. Assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled. It sounds simple, almost too simple. But within this truth lies the entire mystery of creation. For what you feel yourself to be, you become. The feeling, not the words, not the effort, not the striving, is the secret doorway into the reality you seek. To assume means to take something upon yourself as though it were already yours. It is not to wish for, not to long for, not to observe from a distance, but to claim. Now, that which is desired. When one assumes the feeling of the wish fulfilled, he steps beyond time and joins himself to the end, bypassing the seeming limitations of the present. This is not denial of current conditions, but transcendence of them. You are not called to deny what your senses report. You are called to rise above them and to recognize a greater law, that your internal state determines the external one. Every condition in life was once imagined, knowingly or unknowingly. What you dare to feel as true, even for a moment, begins to clothe itself in form. Imagination is not a place of escape. It is the workshop of reality. It is through sustained and vivid assumption that the unseen becomes seen, that the formless is given shape. To assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled is to live inwardly as though your desire were already a fact, and to let this inner conviction dictate your actions, your thoughts, your reactions. It is not the words you speak aloud, but the emotional tone you carry within that creates. One may affirm all day long, but if the feeling contradicts the words, it is the feeling that will manifest. For feeling is the language of creation. The universe responds not to what you want, but to what you are. And you are always what you feel yourself to be. So the task is simple, and yet it requires discipline of mind. To feel yourself into the state you desire to experience. Suppose you long to be prosperous. Do not ask for wealth to come. Become wealthy in feeling. Carry yourself as one who has already received. Think from that place, act from that place, speak from that place. If you would be loved, then feel the warmth of love now. If you would be healed, then embody vitality and wholeness in your imagination, until the body has no choice but to conform. To assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled is to inhabit the end before the facts arrive. But know this, the outer world bends to the inner world. It must. It has no choice. all it can ever do is reflect the state you sustain within. And that state, once assumed consistently, will harden into fact. This is not pretense. This is not fantasy. This is law. You are not pretending when you assume what you desire has already been received. You are claiming it. You are accepting it as truth, and in the realm of consciousness, accepted truth is truth. The senses may protest, the facts may contradict, but if you persist in the feeling, the world must eventually echo back that assumption in form. There is a moment, and it may come quietly, when the assumption sinks in, when it ceases to feel like a performance and begins to feel like reality. That is the turning point. The seed has taken root. The harvest is inevitable. Let every moment be an opportunity to return to this state. When doubt creeps in, do not argue with it. Simply replace it. Turn away from the question and return to the answer. Return to the feeling. Ask yourself, if this were already true, how would I feel? And then feel it, sit in it, walk in it, sleep in it, live in it, as though no other possibility exists. Even when nothing seems to change outwardly, the inward state is working. Do not uproot your seed with impatience. Rest in the knowing that your assumption, once accepted and sustained, will bear fruit. It is law. What you feel as real, you become, and what you become, you inevitably attract. So let your inner world be the place of certainty. Let your feelings precede the facts. Let your assumption become your dwelling place. For the moment you assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled, a new world is born, not outside, but within. And in time, the outer world must follow. Let this be your practice. Do not wait for evidence. Create the evidence within. And trust that what you feel as true will, in its appointed hour, appear before you, not by chance, not by accident, but by the immutable law that you become what you believe yourself to be. Everything begins and ends in consciousness. What you are conscious of being is the only truth that matters, because it is the source and substance of all experience. There is no power outside of awareness, no cause greater than the state you occupy in mind. All that you behold, though it appears without, was first imagined within. You are not the effect of the world. You are the world in seed form. Consciousness alone determines the form and function of all that exists in your life. To understand this is to awaken to your creative power. The circumstances around you, the people you encounter, the events that unfold, these are not causes, they are reflections. They do not originate themselves. They report with complete fidelity what you have accepted as true in your inner world. Life does not respond to what you wish or hope. It responds to what you are. And what you are is nothing more than what you are conscious of being. If you wish to know the state you are in, observe your life. It is always revealing your assumptions. A man conscious of lack will experience lack. A man conscious of love will draw to himself expressions of love. The law is impersonal, but it is perfectly just. It gives to everyone exactly what they are conscious of possessing, not what they seek with pleading hands. The outer world is simply the mirror, and consciousness is the face that looks into it. The error of most is to believe that external change precedes inner change. They attempt to manipulate effects, forgetting the cause remains untouched. They chase new jobs, new relationships, new locations, all while remaining the same in consciousness. And when the outer patterns repeat themselves, they call it fate or misfortune, not realizing they are walking in a circle of their own design. Until the inner state changes, nothing truly changes. Consciousness, being infinite, contains within itself all possibilities. There is no desire that cannot be fulfilled, for the very fact you can imagine it proves that it exists, not outside of you, but within. The realm of imagination is the field of potential realities, and what you select and occupy in consciousness becomes the reality you live. You are never without the means to create a new life, because you are never without the power to assume a new state. To say that consciousness is the only reality is to say that the world you experience is self-created. It is not shaped by the opinions of others nor by random chance, but by your sustained inner attention. What are you accepting as true each day? What thoughts do you allow to linger? What emotions are you identifying with? These are not idle questions. They are the very brushstrokes painting the canvas of your life. Many live in unconscious reaction. They accept what is presented to their senses as final, never questioning the origin of it. They do not realize that what they now see was once believed, and that what they now believe will one day be seen. They are trapped in a loop of their own forgotten assumptions. But the moment one recognizes consciousness as cause, the moment they claim dominion over their inner world, the loop breaks. Change becomes not only possible, it becomes inevitable. Nothing has to remain as it is. No condition is fixed. You are not bound by your past, nor by heredity, nor by circumstance. You are bound only by your assumptions, and assumptions can be changed. A new concept of self, once accepted and lived from, will dissolve all former limitations. You are free to revise, to recreate, to rise to higher states of being, not through effort, but through conscious identification. Do not confuse appearances for truth. Appearances are delayed reflections. They are echoes of former states, not indicators of what must be. They hold no power in and of themselves. They do not dictate what comes next. The only power they have is the power you give them through attention. Turn away from the shadow and face the light within. Let your attention rest on that which you wish to be true, and persist in that mental occupation until it becomes your felt reality. There is no one to change but self, not the outer self, but the inner sense of self. Who are you conscious of being right now? If you could remove all labels, all stories, all memories, who would you choose to be? That choice is always yours, for consciousness is fluid and ever becoming. You are not fixed unless you choose to be. And when you deliberately choose a new state, a new concept, a new identity, the world must rearrange itself to match that change. To live consciously is to live deliberately. It is to rise each day and declare the truth of your being, not based on appearances, but on the vision held within. It is to know that no one can think for you, feel for you, or imagine for you, and therefore no one can create for you. You hold the key, always. Not in your hands, but in your awareness. What you claim in consciousness is yours, even if the evidence is not yet visible. And what you claim consistently will become visible, for consciousness must express itself. Let the words ring not merely in the mind, but in the very core of your being. Consciousness is the only reality. All else is projection. All else is reflection. And the moment you accept this truth, truly accept it, you step into the position of power from which all things are made new. Observe the dialogue that takes place in the silence of your mind, for it is more powerful than any conversation spoken aloud. The words you speak within, quietly, continuously, often without awareness, are seeds, and like all seeds, they bring forth after their kind. The conditions of your life, the people who surround you, the opportunities that arise or dissolve, all these are shaped and governed by the unseen conversations you carry on with yourself in the privacy of consciousness. There is no idle thought, no word, spoken inwardly or outwardly, is without creative consequence. The universe does not respond to what you say occasionally in moments of inspiration. It responds to what you whisper persistently in moments of habit. Every time you repeat a phrase in your mind, every time you entertain an assumption, every time you replay a scenario or rehearse a possibility, you are shaping your world. Not in some distant metaphorical sense, but here, now, with precision. Inner speech is the workshop of reality. It is the great sculptor of your experience. You may believe yourself to be shaped by circumstances, but in truth, Circumstances are shaped by you. The true causation lies within, always within. Nothing appears in your external world that did not first find life in your internal conversation. The thoughts you allow to linger, the arguments you replay, the complaints you entertain, the praises you offer yourself. All of these are the raw material of tomorrow's facts. Begin to notice your inner speech, and you will begin to uncover the source of every condition in your life. Ask yourself honestly, what am I saying when I am not speaking? What is the tone of my internal dialogue? Am I encouraging or doubting? Am I affirming or denying? Am I living from the state of what I want or from the state of what I fear? You do not have to utter a single word aloud to invoke the law. Your subconscious mind is always listening, not to what you say for appearance's sake, but to what you truly mean in the depths of thought. If you imagine failure, if you repeat to yourself that things never work out, if you dwell in inner arguments or scenes of rejection, you are rehearsing that reality into existence. You are preparing it, not as a punishment, but as a perfect reflection of your self-concept. There is no external enemy. There is no external savior. There is only the echo of your internal voice. Change the voice, and the echo must change. Do not be deceived by time. Though there may be a delay between your inner word and its outer manifestation, the connection is absolute. Just as the shadow follows the body, your life follows your inner speech. Now consider this. What would your inner dialogue sound like if you were already the person you desired to be? How would you speak to yourself, not only in moments of confidence, but in your quietest, most honest moments? Begin there. Begin speaking from the desired state, not toward it. Begin rehearsing success, kindness, fulfillment, joy. Carry on imaginary conversations that reflect your ideal, not your worry. Feel into them until they become natural, until they feel like home. The great illusion is that reality is hard and unchangeable, while imagination is soft and unreal. But the truth is precisely the opposite. The inner world is the cause. The outer world is the effect. And when the inner conversation changes, the outer world has no choice but to change along with it. It may come in ways you do not expect. It may come through avenues you never could have predicted, but come it must. Your task is not to figure out the how. Your task is to master the art of self-talk, to become aware of what you are inwardly affirming. When a negative conversation begins to rise, interrupt it. Gently replace it with a higher truth. Speak to yourself with the authority of one who knows the power of words. Do not indulge in gossip, even within your own mind. Do not entertain fears, not even for a moment. Speak from love, speak from peace, speak from knowing, and life will become a mirror of that speech. If you would change your world, change your word. Not the word you speak to others, but the word you speak to yourself. The tongue may be silent, but the mind is never still. What it repeats in silence shapes the script of your life. Choose carefully, speak boldly, and persist in the language of your highest self until your entire world begins to echo it back to you. There is no effort more worthwhile than mastering your inner speech. For once you take control of that voice, you take control of your reality. It is not about suppressing thought, but selecting it. It is not about avoiding conflict, but transforming the tone of the conversation you entertain. Everything is a conversation with yourself, with others, with life itself. Choose to make it a dialogue of faith, of gratitude, of fulfillment. And you will find that the world answers in kind because it must. The moment you take responsibility for your inner speech is the moment you become the master of your fate. For nothing can resist the persistent inner assumption expressed through feeling, through repetition, and through belief. Speak from the end, and the end shall be made manifest. Words alone are not the creators of reality. It is not the simple act of uttering words that brings about change, but the feeling that accompanies those words. You must understand that every word is a vehicle for feeling. Without feeling, words are empty shells. They can be repeated endlessly, yet they will remain powerless unless they are infused with the emotion that reflects the truth you seek to express. It is the feeling that activates the power of words and transforms them into creative forces. When you speak, what you truly say is not the sound of your voice, but the vibration of your emotion behind it. The words are merely the form, the outward manifestation of the inner state of being. It is your inner state that commands the law of creation, and it is the feeling of your words that gives them life. To speak without feeling is like planting seeds in barren soil. No matter how often you plant, nothing will grow, because the soil lacks the necessary conditions to nourish life. The key to manifestation lies in the alignment of your words and your feelings. When you say, "I am successful," what is the accompanying feeling? Do you feel the truth of that statement in your being? Or do you speak it from a place of hope or doubt? You must feel the truth of the words as though they are already fulfilled. This is not about faking confidence or pretending to be something you are not. It is about aligning your inner reality with the external truth you desire to experience. This is why the feeling is so crucial. The feeling is the seed of creation. The moment you feel the truth of your words in your heart, the process of manifestation begins. But you must be careful. If you speak from a place of doubt, if you repeat words without feeling, you are reinforcing the very opposite of what you desire. You are planting seeds of uncertainty, and the results will reflect that uncertainty. The key is to align your feeling with the reality you wish to create. For many, the challenge is in bridging the gap between their words and their feelings. You may say, "I am healthy," but if your body feels weak and tired, if your mind believes you are unwell, the words have no power. To truly feel the truth of your word, you must consciously enter into the state of being that reflects what you are affirming. It's not enough to merely say, "I am wealthy." You must feel the freedom, the security, the abundance of wealth. You must embody the state of being prosperous, not just in thought, but in emotion, in sensation. The trick is in using your imagination to inhabit the state you wish to manifest. If you desire a particular outcome, you must first enter into the feeling of having already received it. What does it feel like to be successful, to be loved, to be healthy, to be at peace? You are not asking for these things to happen in the future. You are entering into the experience of them now. You are stepping into the end result, feeling it as a reality in the present moment. And it is from this space that change occurs. The power of feeling cannot be underestimated. It is through feeling that you connect with the deeper layers of your subconscious mind. The conscious mind may speak words, but it is the subconscious mind that carries out the work of manifestation. It is the subconscious that responds to the inner emotional tone of your thoughts and words. And it is the subconscious that shapes the outer world in accordance with that tone. To speak the words without feeling is like planting a seed without watering it. The seed will never take root because there is no nourishment to support its growth. But when you speak the words with feeling, when you infuse them with the energy of certainty, faith, and passion, you are watering that seed with life. You are creating the environment necessary for it to grow and take shape. You are not waiting for the world to change in order to feel better. You are feeling better in order to change the world. When you speak with feeling, you are speaking as if your desire has already been fulfilled. You are speaking from the end, from the state of having already attained what you desire. This is where true power lies. It is in the feeling of the wish fulfilled that the creative process takes place. You are no longer hoping for a better future. You are embodying it, living in it, and experiencing it as real. And from this state, the world around you must reflect that reality back to you. This is why affirmations, when done correctly, are so powerful. Affirmations are not just words repeated in a mechanical way. They are vehicles for feeling, expressions of an inner state. The power of an affirmation lies not in its repetition, but in the depth of the feeling you attach to it. When you say, "I am confident," feel the confidence rise within you. When you say, "I am abundant," feel the abundance flood your being. The more deeply you feel it, the more quickly it will manifest in your life. Do not underestimate the power of feeling. It is the secret ingredient that turns words into reality. Words are the blueprint. Feelings are the life force that gives the blueprint form. You cannot have one without the other. When your words and feelings are in harmony, they form a powerful creative force that cannot fail. The outer world is but a reflection of your inner state. Speak with feeling, and the world must reflect back to you that which you have already felt. Your words are not just words. They are the building blocks of your reality. Feel the truth behind them, and watch as the world begins to shape itself in alignment with your inner vision. To assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled is to step boldly into the state of being that matches your desire. Not tomorrow, not when conditions seem ripe, but now in this present moment. The secret lies not in working harder or waiting longer, but in dwelling inwardly in the end result as if it were already yours. You are not to wait for the world to offer you permission to feel fulfilled. Rather, you are to claim that fulfillment first and let the world conform to your inner conviction. Every desire you have is a message from your higher self, showing you a greater version of your being. It is not a future possibility, it is a present potential, and it becomes real the moment you inhabit the feeling of its fulfillment. You do not need to earn it, struggle for it, or plead for it. You need only to be it. That is the work, and the only true work. Imagine a scenario in your life that would naturally occur if your desire were already fulfilled. Let it rise in your imagination, not as a hope, but as an event taking place now. Feel yourself in that scene. Engage your senses fully. What does it smell like, sound like, feel like? What are you wearing? Who is with you? And most importantly, what does it feel like to know your desire has already been achieved? This feeling, this inward assumption, is not a fantasy or wishful thinking. It is the creative act itself. The outer world is molded not by effort but by state. Your state of consciousness is the only substance of reality. The world is not moved by your longing but by your being. When you assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled, you are no longer reaching for it, you are living in it. And that shift of identity brings about the reflection. Many people make the mistake of praying for what they want while continuing to feel the absence of it. They speak of abundance but feel lack. They ask for love but carry loneliness. They visualize success while dwelling in fear. And so they remain trapped in a cycle of unfulfilled dreams because the emotional state they occupy is contrary to the state they seek to create. What you feel to be true inwardly becomes your experience outwardly. There is no exception to this law. To assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled means to bypass appearances. It means to feel rich while the bank account says otherwise. It means to feel love before the relationship arrives. It means to feel healthy while the symptoms remain. Not because you are denying reality, but because you are aware that true reality begins within. The seen world is only a shadow of the unseen. You are not deceived by what is, you are governed by what will be. Accept it now as already done. Persistence is key. You cannot assume for a moment and then retreat to doubt. You must remain faithful to the new state, even when the senses scream in opposition. Do not be discouraged by the delay between your inner assumption and its outer manifestation. The delay is not denial, it is incubation. The seed of assumption must take root before it breaks through the surface of your life, but it must break through if you persist in the feeling of already having it. Use imagination wisely. Let it become your secret sanctuary. Visit the end again and again, not to make it happen, but to become the one for whom it has happened. When you walk through your day with the inner knowing that what you desire is already yours, your actions, your posture, your speech all begin to change. You carry yourself differently. You move with quiet confidence. And this shift is not unnoticed by the world. It draws people, opportunities, and events to you effortlessly, as a mirror reflects the face that looks into it. Do not concern yourself with how your desire will come to pass. That is not your role. Your part is to assume the feeling, to dwell in the state, to be the person you would be if your dream were fulfilled. Let the bridge of incidents unfold naturally. Let circumstances arrange themselves in ways the rational mind could never predict. The moment you try to control the method, you slip back into the state of not having. The assumption is not a plan, it is a presence. It is a knowing. To live from the end is the master key. It means that your inner conversations, your emotions, and your expectations are all in harmony with the result you have claimed. You stop asking when or how because you already are. There is no impatience in fulfillment. There is no effort in what is. You may still take action, but it flows naturally from your state, not from desperation or lack. Assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled and make it your dwelling place. Return to it every time your mind wanders. Speak from it, think from it, act from it, and do so in faith, not in fear. Know that your assumption, maintained consistently, must harden into fact. This is not theory, it is law. You are not hoping for a better life. You are stepping into the version of yourself that already has it. And that self, once assumed in feeling, will find its reflection in the world without. To persist is to remain faithful to the unseen reality you have claimed, even when the evidence of the senses seems to deny it. It is to continue dwelling in the feeling of the wish fulfilled, not merely for a moment or an hour, but until that state becomes so natural to you that it no longer feels like a desire. It feels like a fact. Persistence is the secret ingredient that separates fleeting imaginings from permanent transformation. The moment you assume a new state of being, you plant the seed of change. But like any seed, it must be nourished, guarded, and protected from the weeds of doubt and the winds of contradiction. The world may not immediately reflect your new assumption, and this is where most falter. They retreat back into the familiar self, the old pattern, simply because the outer world hasn't yet caught up with their inner claim. But the outer world is always delayed. It reflects only that which has been accepted and sustained inwardly. You must become so loyal to your inner vision that you are unmoved by appearances. Do not look for confirmation. Do not search the outer world for signs of change. That searching is a confession of disbelief. The new state must be felt as real, not examined for evidence. It must be worn as your identity, not tested for proof. The moment you begin looking for results, you reveal that you have not yet fully entered the state. For one who is does not need to seek. To persist means to make the new feeling your home. At first it may feel foreign, even artificial. The old state, with all its emotions, reactions, and thoughts, has been practiced for so long that it feels natural, even when it's painful. But naturalness is not a sign of truth. It is simply the result of repetition. Whatever you feel repeatedly becomes habitual, and whatever becomes habitual forms the core of your identity. Your task, therefore, is to break the familiarity of the old state and replace it with the naturalness of the new. Every time you return to the state of the wish fulfilled, you are impressing it deeper into your subconscious. And the subconscious, once impressed, must externalize it. But this impression cannot occur if the assumption is dropped the moment something contradicts it. Do not let a passing moment of contradiction erase the truth you have chosen to embody. The world of facts is not fixed, it is fluid, molded by your dominant state of consciousness. And that state is yours to select and inhabit. At times, the new state will feel unstable, like a dream you are struggling to stay in. Old habits of mind will rise, the voice of doubt will whisper, the memory of past failures may knock on the door. But none of these things have power unless you give them your belief. Do not fight them. Simply return. Return again and again to the inner knowing that your desire is already fulfilled. Re-enter the state as often as necessary, not with struggle, but with quiet certainty. Just as you would return home after a day's work, return inwardly to the feeling of your fulfilled desire. Persistence does not mean force. It means loyalty. It means choosing the new assumption again and again until it feels effortless. Think of it like learning a new language. At first, the words are strange and difficult. You translate in your mind, stumble over grammar, question every sentence, but with repetition, the language becomes familiar, then fluent, and finally second nature. So too with your new state. Practice it until you no longer have to remind yourself, you simply live from it. Feelings follow focus. The more you dwell on the inner scene, the more you feel it. The more you feel it, the more natural it becomes. Do not worry about how much time it takes. That concern belongs to the old self. The new self lives as if the desire were already a fact. Time becomes irrelevant because the experience has already been accepted. You no longer desire the desire. You are it. This shift may occur gradually or suddenly. For some, the new state clicks into place in an instant. For others, it unfolds over days or weeks. But the speed is not the measure of success. The depth of conviction is. You will know you are succeeding when the thought of your desire no longer feels like longing, but like remembrance. When you no longer try to convince yourself, but simply know. When you react to the world not as someone who wants, but as someone who has, that is the mark of true persistence. There may be moments when you forget. That is human. But the forgetting does not undo the work, so long as you return. The power lies not in perfection, but in return. Each time you return to the state of the wish fulfilled, you deepen your identification with it. Each return is a vote for the new reality. And eventually the balance tips. The new state overtakes the old, and it becomes who you are. Let no external voice, no visible delay, no temporary condition shake your faith. Remain in the assumption, and it will become natural. And once it becomes natural, the world must reflect it. You are not pretending, you are remembering. You are not hoping, you are becoming. Stay with it, live in it, and persist, not as effort, but as embodiment. For what you feel yourself to be, consistently and with conviction, you inevitably become. Affirmation is not just a tool for daydreams or fantasies. It is the most powerful creative force within you. It is the gateway to a reality that exists beyond the limits of the physical world. Imagination is not bound by time or space. It transcends the visible and the tangible. Through imagination, you have the ability to shape and mold your world, creating your experiences from the inside out. The world that you see around you, the circumstances you encounter, are all products of what you have imagined and accepted as true. The power of imagination lies in its ability to operate beyond the senses, to create inner realities that will, in time, be reflected in the outer world. When you imagine, you are not merely thinking about possibilities, you are creating a new dimension of reality. Every act of imagination is a blueprint, a mold into which the world will eventually take shape. Your thoughts, feelings, and images of the mind carry with them a creative energy that constantly shapes your experience. What you imagine, with vividness and feeling, will come to pass. But the key is not just in imagining. It is in the feeling that accompanies your imagination. The images you hold in your mind are not just abstract pictures. They are imbued with the emotional tone of your being. To truly create through imagination, you must enter into the state of your desired outcome as if it were already real. Imagine your desired outcome in full detail, not as a distant possibility, but as a present reality. Feel the emotions of that reality as if it were happening to you now. This is the true power of imagination. It is not simply seeing what you want, but feeling that it is already yours. Imagination shapes your world in the same way that an artist shapes a sculpture. The artist begins with a block of stone, but the final form exists first in the mind's eye. Through careful, conscious effort, the artist brings that vision into being, shaping and refining it until the stone reflects the image he has imagined. Likewise, your imagination shapes the block of life that surrounds you. You begin with the raw material of your present circumstances, but through the creative power of your imagination, you can carve and mold those circumstances into something new. However, this process requires belief in the power of your imagination. It requires knowing that what you imagine vividly and consistently will be made manifest. Many people have difficulty trusting in their imagination because they fail to see how their inner visions could ever come to life in the world around them. They look at their current situation and conclude that it is too late for change, too impossible to alter. But this is where the true power of imagination lies. It does not depend on the present state of affairs. It depends on your ability to imagine a new reality and to persist in that vision, regardless of what the world currently reflects. The imagination works according to the law of assumption. If you assume that what you imagine is already true, the creative process begins. It is not enough to merely wish or hope for change. You must live in the assumption of that change. You must imagine your desired reality as if it were already present. And when you do this, the imagination begins to impress that vision upon the subconscious. The subconscious mind is the fertile ground in which the seeds of imagination are planted. And once those seeds are planted, the world begins to rearrange itself in accordance with a new assumption. The power of imagination is limitless. You can imagine yourself into a new job, a new relationship, a new level of health or financial abundance. Whatever it is that you desire, you can create it through the power of your imagination. But the imagination is not simply about daydreaming. It is about experiencing the emotional tone of your desire as if it were already real. The more vividly you can imagine yourself in the state of having what you want, the more quickly the external world will reflect that state. There is a subtle yet profound truth here. Imagination shapes your world, not by changing external circumstances directly, but by changing you. When you enter into the imaginative state of the wish fulfilled, you align yourself with the future that is already yours. You are not waiting for something to happen. You are experiencing it now. And through the law of attraction, this inner state of being begins to draw the necessary events, people, and opportunities to you. The world you experience is the world you create within. Imagination is the bridge between the unseen world of thought and the seen world of form. But it is not enough to simply imagine once and wait for the world to catch up. You must live in that state of imagination daily. Your thoughts, actions, and feelings must be aligned with the reality you wish to create. This does not mean forcing results or obsessing over them. It means living from the feeling of your imagined reality as if it were already true. Imagination must become a way of life, a constant practice. Every thought, every image you entertain must be congruent with the world you desire to bring into being. The more you practice imagining your desired reality, the more natural it becomes. And the more natural it becomes, the more real it feels. And the more real it feels, the more quickly the world begins to reflect that reality back to you. You are not waiting for the world to change. You are creating a new world from the inside out, starting with the power of your imagination. This is the essence of creation. That which is imagined becomes real, not because the outer world changes, but because your inner state is altered. And once that state is altered, the outer world must change to match it. The imagination is not merely a tool for visualizing desires. It is the very foundation of all creation. The power of imagination is your power. It is the creative force that shapes every aspect of your life. And once you understand how to harness that power, you will see that your reality is not determined by external forces, but by the images and feelings you carry within. Through imagination, you can create the life you desire. For imagination is the key that unlocks the door to your new world. You and you alone are the operant power in your life. This is a fundamental truth, yet one that many fail to grasp. Most people walk through life with the belief that external forces, the opinions of others, the circumstances they find themselves in, the events that seem to unfold around them, are what shape their experiences. They think that life is something that happens to them rather than something they actively create. But this belief is the greatest illusion. The truth is that you are the creator of your own reality. Every experience, every circumstance, and every outcome is a direct result of your inner state and your inner beliefs. You are not at the mercy of the world around you. Rather, you are the master of it. You are the operant power, and your life is shaped by the thoughts and feelings you hold most consistently. The power you possess is not some external force you must tap into. It is inherent within you. It is your consciousness, your awareness, that holds the key to the life you experience. Whatever you feel, whatever you imagine, becomes your reality. This is the essence of the creative process, that you are not the victim of your circumstances, but the creator of them. Every thought you think, every assumption you make, sets the stage for the events that will unfold. And it is the persistence of these thoughts and assumptions that determines the shape of your life. When you recognize that you are the operant power, you understand that there is no need to look outside yourself for change. The world will never change until you change first. The power to transform your circumstances lies within you, not in the people or conditions around you. External events are simply a reflection of your inner state. The circumstances of your life are nothing more than the mirror that reflects the image you have held of yourself and the world. If you are unhappy with what you see, the solution is simple. Change your inner vision. Change the assumptions you hold, change the beliefs that shape your perception, and the outer world will begin to reflect this new vision. This concept of being the operant power is not some abstract idea. It is a practical and transformative principle that can be applied to every area of your life. Whether it is your health, your finances, your relationships, or any other area of experience, you have the power to shape it with your thoughts and beliefs. You are not bound by the limitations of the past, nor are you at the mercy of present conditions. The conditions of your life are not permanent. They are only temporary reflections of the thoughts you have entertained up until now. And because you are the operant power, you have the ability to change those reflections at any time by shifting your inner state. You might ask, how do I shift my inner state? The answer is simple, by changing what you focus on and what you believe. Your beliefs create your reality, and your focus determines which of those beliefs you will experience. The mind is a powerful tool, but it is only effective when used consciously. Most people allow their minds to wander, allowing thoughts to pass without conscious direction, and in doing so, they unknowingly create the very conditions they want to avoid. But once you realize that you are the operant power, you take full control of your thoughts. You deliberately choose the thoughts that align with the reality you wish to create, and you hold them consistently, regardless of what the senses show you. A common mistake people make is to look at their current circumstances and assume that these circumstances have power over them. They see lack, they see illness, they see struggle, and they believe that these things define their reality. But these external conditions are not fixed. They are mutable. They are nothing more than the reflection of what you have believed in the past. And because you are the operant power, you can change the reflection at any moment by changing the inner belief that created it. This does not mean that you must deny the facts or ignore what is happening around you. It means that you must understand that the facts are not the final truth. They are simply a snapshot of the present moment, a moment that is already changing. As soon as you change your inner state, the world begins to reflect that change. It is your persistence in this inner change that will bring about the transformation you seek. The outer world is not the cause, it is the effect. And the cause is always your state of consciousness. You may wonder how to maintain this new state of awareness, especially when external conditions seem to contradict it. The answer is persistence. You must persist in your assumption, even when the world does not immediately reflect it. This persistence is not effortful, it is simply faith. It is the faith that your inner state is the true source of all creation, and that by assuming the feeling of the wish fulfilled, you are bringing your desires into being. When you persist in this assumption, the outer world must change to match it. To be the operant power means to take full responsibility for your life. It means that you are no longer at the mercy of external forces. You are the creator of your experience. You are the one who decides what you will think, feel, and believe. You are the one who chooses the assumptions that will shape your reality. And when you accept this power, you step into a new realm of possibility. No longer will you be a victim of circumstance. Instead, you will be the master of your fate. You will create the life you desire, not by waiting for something to happen, but by deciding what will happen and assuming it is already so. Your life will be the reflection of your conscious and deliberate choice to be the operant power. In conclusion, the key to transforming your life lies not in the external world, but in the power you hold within yourself. By recognizing that you are the operant power, you begin to understand that your imagination, assumptions, beliefs, and persistence shape your reality. You are the creator of your experiences, and your inner state of consciousness dictates the outer conditions of your life. The power of imagination allows you to envision a new reality, and the feeling of that reality, when consistently assumed, becomes your truth. The world around you is a reflection of your inner state, and as you persist in the assumption of your desired outcomes, you begin to see them materialize in the physical world. Every thought, every feeling, every image you entertain has creative power. And it is through the conscious use of this power that you can change anything about your life. It is not the circumstances that determine who you are or what you can achieve. It is the belief you hold and the feelings you embody. Remember, the process is not about effort or struggle. It is about consistent faith in your inner vision and the natural alignment of your thoughts with your desires. By mastering the art of persistence in the state of the wish fulfilled, you move from longing to living in your desired reality. The power to transform your life is already within you. It is simply waiting for you to claim it. You are the operant power in your life. Your imagination is the key, your assumptions are the mold, and your persistence is the force that brings your desires into form. Step into the power of your own creative ability, and the world will respond accordingly. The life you wish to live is already within you, and by living from that inner vision, you will see it unfold before your eyes.